Hey, how's it going everyone? Taysin here, and today I'll be doing a video response to a video by Xander Skullion, the question of which originated by Kitt171, and that is 5 gaming items I would like to own in my collection. So I'll be going in no particular order, and starting off with number 1 is a replica Kingdom Hearts Keyblade. So I see a lot of these around online quite frequently, but the thing is, these Keyblades, there's quite a lot of variance in sort of the materials they're made from and also the dimensions. There's some that are really thin, wooden. There are others that are quite long in proportion, or the actual handle of the Keyblade is different to how it is in the game. But for me, it's one of those things. I know a lot of people like to have, for example, a Zelda Sword and Shield, but being one of my favorite games, Kingdom Hearts, it's definitely something that I really want to have alongside all my other Kingdom Hearts items. And also, so mainly I would like the Kingdom Key, but one time I was at a store named Game Traders, and they had a Oblivion and the Oathkeeper Keyblade, and ever since seeing those two, I definitely want to have them in my collection as well. So I'd say I want them to have them more than a Kingdom Key, because of the fact that they're so unique, and I'd say they're harder to find. It's quite easy to type in and find a Kingdom Key for sale online, but the Oathkeeper and Oblivion are much harder, and being Roxas's two Keyblades that he wields, I'd love to just have both of those in my possession. So yeah, that's number 1. Moving on to number 2, and that is a GameCube Game Boy Advance player. So this is the add-on that you put underneath the GameCube to allow you to insert and play Game Boy games on the TV. And the reason I want that is because I just love, one thing about me is I don't enjoy playing games on the handheld as much as I used to. And I think a lot of the reason is comfort. You know, it's sort of, sometimes it's sort of started to get a bit of fatigue in my neck and stuff. And also, just playing on a smaller screen, I'm so used to playing on a large screen. And to be able to put in games like Pokemon, a lot of the older games that I've had since I was a kid, and just play them on a big screen is really something I've always wanted to do. And especially, you know, something, I've got a wireless headphones, so I can plug them into my TV and then I can play through the headphones and wirelessly, so then I don't have to worry about the cables when I'm plugging into a Game Boy player or something like that. So that's something I've always wanted, but unfortunately they do cost quite a bit secondhand. I mean, people generally don't sell them for cheap, so it's one of those things. I just hope one day that I will find it, either someone's selling it really cheap, or I find in a garage sale somewhere where it's, as they say, one man's junk is another man's treasure. So there may be someone, you know, just sort of wanting to get rid of it with not really much value it has to them. So that's definitely something I'd really like to own in my collection. Number 3, this is also GameCube related, and that is the Wavebird controller, the wireless controller. So I play my GameCube with my 2 wired controllers, but all my other consoles I have a wireless controller for. So besides the newer generation ones like PS3, PS4, Wii U and stuff, I've got the Logitech official wired controller for the PS2. And ever since having that, it's really changed the way I enjoy my PS2. I enjoy it a lot more now. Yeah, I'm not restricted by the wires that I have before. And it's a really good controller. It's really responsive. Batteries, 2 AA batteries, I believe. They last a long time. So it really gave me that current gen feel to an older gen console, playing it wirelessly. So that's definitely something I really want to have on the GameCube as well, because that's the one console I have where I'm still using a wired controller, and I'd like to just be able to have a wireless controller and maybe, you know, sit back further to a position where the actual wires, you know, wouldn't reach in the wired controller. And then I don't have to worry about pulling the GameCube sometimes by accident and wires getting caught everywhere. So it's definitely something I've always had a look out for. I don't really see them that much. When I do see them, just like the Game Boy player, they do sell them quite a lot. And when I find them cheap, they're missing the receiver. And then it becomes quite a bit of a hassle just to try and find a receiver by itself. You're basically better off just trying to find the actual controller and the receiver together. Otherwise, it does make it, yeah, quite a bit. I think you lose a bit more time and money investing in both separately if you can't get them both together. So yeah, that is number 3 on my list. Number 4, this is a console, and that is the Sega Dreamcast. I've always wanted this since I was a kid. I remember I had a friend and he had a Dreamcast. That was the first and only time I'd ever played it. So I've only ever played it once, and it was Sonic Adventure. And I'd say that was the first time I'd ever played a console outside of a Nintendo. I think this was before I got the PlayStation. So for me, it was this real staple experience in playing something different. Different controller and everything. And I was so mesmerized by that because I hadn't experienced, what we have today where we've got so many different consoles, and everyone chooses and they go, oh, I want this and, or I want that and, Team PlayStation, Team Xbox. But back then it was one of those things where I just had such a love for trying something that was different as opposed to sort of being opposed to it because it was different. And it is one of those consoles that I feel like with Super Nintendo and NES, as good as it would be to have them, I can play all the games that I'd want on those consoles on the virtual console on the Wii U, and I've got that wirelessly and stuff like that. You can stream with HDMI or game capture that. But with the Dreamcast, there's a lot of games in that I'd really like to play and have the authentic experience. So number one being Shenmue, of course, one of the original Soul Calibur games. Sonic Adventure, as I was saying, and there's just another handful of games that would really, fighting games and stuff that I would really enjoy. And the fact that I've only ever played the Dreamcast once, I've got this yearning just to really get my hands on one in some way, just to be able to play it again and really get that full experience because it was such a quick experience that I had with it. So yeah, that's number 4. And going on to number 5 on my list, the last item. This isn't a game or anything. It's actually a book or a collection of books. And that is The Sky, The Art of Final Fantasy by Yoshitaka Amano. And he's he's famous for his Final Fantasy designs. You see them on all the Final Fantasy covers of the games, depending on which region you're in. I know in our region, we've got them alongside the emblems of the actual names of the games. And it's 3 booklets, and they include art going from Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to Final Fantasy 10. I think it includes 10 too as well. And just his art style, it's so unique and it's so mesmerizing. I'd say it's very sharp, it's very detailed, but at the same time it's sort of like brushed, and it's really hard to explain, and I'm no professional at describing artwork, but it is something that's always stuck out to me. And it was probably for many of us, Final Fantasy lovers, the first sort of artwork that we ever saw, and they were always significant artwork on the covers of the games. They represented something significant in the game. So you'd always play the games, or at least I would, to find out what that symbol meant. There's things like Final Fantasy 7, obviously the meteor. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but for those of you who play it, you know what it is. Final Fantasy 9, the crystal in it. Things like Final Fantasy 10, that was more symbolic of Yuna as a summoner and her summon. And a lot of things like that. It's really just going through every piece of artwork of his really brings back a lot of memories in the game. And there's something that I would really like to have with me, and something I'd like to keep for the rest of my life, so that even if I'm not revisiting any of these Final Fantasy games again, I can revisit them through the artwork that he's created of them, and it really will bring back all the memories that I've had playing those games and the different scenes. So yeah, that is my 5 gaming items that I would like to own in my collection. I'm sure there are a couple more that I can think of, but of the top 5, those are the ones. And if I were to get those 5 and none others, I would be happy with that, so can't complain. So anyways guys, thank you for watching. Please leave your comments in the below. Let me know sort of some of the items you would like to have. Maybe you even have some of those items that I mentioned. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. And as always, stay spot on.